There are other projections with respective latitude and longitude lines. Okay, this one here says a flat map is correct if the grid is correct. Yes. Here you see prime meridian is not going through Greenland. It's going through Europe, though, going through Africa, 0 degrees. And you see the numbers, the degrees increase as you go parallel on both sides. And equator is 0 degrees. The degrees increase on both sides. Also interesting how, according to the map, the extent of the north is so wide, very wide, and south too. Here's another projection. There are various projections, but if the parallels and meridians are correct, the map is correct. Here's one. So maybe someone would ask, are the parallels correct here in this image here? So I don't know. It's very interesting, nice to look at. SubhanAllah, I don't know. Uh, but if they are, then I mean, there's no mistake here. It says, it is for this reason our determination of Mecca being southeast of the USA does not contradict any map. We are any map, not a globe nor a flat map. We are actually reading the map and following its rules. Yani, we're not reading the map as proof for the Qibla. Yani, we're saying what we're saying is not against the map. And if we do read the map, we're going to find that the map is saying what we are saying. Yeah, without the map being our proof. The map complies with the reading of the North Star. The North Star is the strongest Qibla proof. So if you argue with a person about Northeast Qibla, he's going to have a lot to say about other than the North Star. Other than what is the strongest Qibla proof, he's going to have a lot to say about it. And he might deny that the North Star is the strongest Qibla proof because, yani, they do. They do deny that. Yani, more than one of them have. We already gave the references for the North Star, so review. As long as the land masses fall on the grid, Yani, as long as the land masses fall on the latitude and longitude lines properly, the distortion of the map is irrelevant concerning direction. What? Not size. The things, people criticize some maps for are highly irrelevant, though, if the map actually is functional. Like the Mercator projection. Mercator projection. When I was in grade school, by the way, I learned it as the Mercator projection. Mercator. But I always hear people say Mercator, so perhaps I took it the wrong way when I was in school. So that projection, that famous one that has Greenland so large, it has Africa so small. You know what I'm talking about if you know about maps. So people, they have long rants about how racist this map is, but Yani doesn't make the map wrong though. Yani, how relevant is that really? But anyway, the string over the globe is itself distortion on the map. Yes. Look at the confusion that it caused. Passing it off for one single direction, putting the string over the globe with no regard to the reading of the latitude and longitude coordinates that string passes, and calling that whole string by one single name, Northeast, that's a great distortion on the map. When did Muslims become ignorant of how to read maps? SubhanAllah, I mean, that's sad. Therefore, the equator is 0 degrees on any flat map or globe, even if that map's projection shows the equator bending or broken or closer to the top of the page or closer to the bottom. This is what you need to understand what you are looking at when you are seeing a map. So, like this projection here. For sure, the equator is broken on this projection here. Doesn't mean that this is wrong. Someone's going to criticize it for being distorted. Most likely that person is just doesn't know what he's talking about. It's not to deny that there's a distortion there, but that distortion doesn't make it unusable or wrong because the map is a representation anyway. Maybe something that might give you an idea here. Do you know about there's a toy car? It's called Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels. These they make little miniature toy cars. So, when you look at those Hot Wheels, sometimes they make little cars that look like real cars in the real world. You say, wow, it looks so cool. But if you really were to investigate the proportions, you would see like when they shrink it down, like how the size of the wheels in comparison to the size of the frame is not really proportionate to the real car. Well, when you see it small like that, it looks nice, but they had to make adjustments. So also that it's functional, also so that it will roll in a nice way too. So they just shrink it down and they have to give it its own proportions. Then it's going to be a representation. So maybe that gives you an idea here. That's not going to render the map useless or wrong. Also, north and south poles are both 90 degrees on any flat map or globe, no matter the projection or distortion. There's another one, similar to one we saw already, but it's different. Their rejection of a flat map is not truly because the globe is a better representation. That's not the real reason. It is because the flat map, by virtue of being flat, exposes the change in direction that they somehow hid from so many people by slightly shifting a globe like an amateur magic trick. You know what that means now? How they just shifted the globe. They put the string over the globe. You can see it's bending with your own eye. You don't need a magnifying glass or glasses even. And when you say this is turning, why you call the whole thing northeast? It's going to say it's not turning. Look! Then he just repositions the globe only. That's all he does. So it's like an amateur magic trick. It's hocus pocus. Now the turn is gone. The bend is gone. It's a straight line. And so we asked the Northeast supporter, yani the one who's arguing for that, is latitude and longitude relevant or not? If he says yes, then he must face southeast, yani east southeast, whatever degree of south from east he needs, wherever he is in USA or Canada, as per reading the map as it should be read. And he really, as per the North Star, but the map's not against the North Star. Let him use the North Star, inshallah, so he can get most accurate positioning, not just the map. So if he says no, then how and why is he calling his line northeast? If latitude and longitude lines are not relevant, then based on what is he calling his line northeast? Because knowing north on the map is by latitude lines and knowing east on the map is by longitude lines. So he must be calling his line northeast by looking at latitude and longitude lines. That's as far as reading a map is concerned. But in reality, knowing north, yani in the real world, knowing north would be by the North Star and knowing east would be by the sunrise. So don't lose sight of how they mix these things. For the people who argue for Northeast, the Earth is like a map, and the map is like the Earth, and they don't really tell a difference between them. Yani, they don't tell a difference between them. However, a mere ball or sphere is not regarded as having north or south. Just a mere ball. If you have a basketball, you're not going to say it has north or south. Once we assign north or south on the ball or the sphere, then it becomes a sort of map. So you have basketball, you have a Sharpie marker, and you write N on one end of the ball, and you write S on the other one. Now it's like a map. And then let's say you also draw a circle around the middle. Now it's not just a ball. Yani, it became a makeshift map. Because that's what N and S mean here. They are representing something. And then must be read as maps are read, or else no point to put that N and that S there. Person who supports Yani argues for the Northeast cannot hold both sides. If he wants a round object, merely a round object, like an orange or a tennis ball, simply for its shape, then cardinal directions do not apply to it. It's not a map, and no string over it can validly be called Northeast. It's just a string over a ball. Although now he can successfully find the shortest distance between 2 points on the surface of that object by placing a string over it between them, and that's not even the goal. It's not even the goal. So take the direction aspect out of it. If he were to put 2 points on this mere sphere and put a string from the first point to the second point, would he successfully find the shortest distance over the surface? Yes. Okay. Is that even what the Qibla is about? Finding the shortest distance over the surface? No. This completely is not even the goal. Subhanallah. So it's like he brought a golf ball to a baseball game, or he brought basketball to the golf course. Doesn't even go. It's not. Doesn't apply here. It's not what we're looking for. But that's really what he is doing. And he's fully aware. Also, that's what he's doing. He's fully aware that his goal is to find the shortest distance between the shortest distance over the surface between 2 points. Shortest distance over the surface between 2 points. For the Qibla, the surface doesn't even matter. The issue of the Qibla doesn't regard the surface. As proven by what? By the fact that Yani, an introductory sentence for learning about Qibla is that you have to direct your chest towards the Qibla or the air over it or the ground beneath it. You have to face the direction of the building of the Kaaba or the air over it or the ground below it. That right there means the surface itself is not actually the issue, it's the direction itself. So that's if he wants merely a round object. Then we're going to say to him, you're not even talking about what we were talking about. You're giving us a geometry lesson. We want to talk about the Qibla. If he wants a globe, he cannot ignore the fact that it is a map, not a mere ball. Therefore, that means since he cannot ignore the fact that it is a map, this means that he cannot make its shape the issue, because its shape is not the issue. Rather, it's a map. This map has different projections. All those projections give the same reading, so the shape is not truly the issue. It's the issue for him because he's not looking for the direction, he's looking for something else. Then once he found what he was looking for, he gave it a name. He called it Northeast. So then, if he wants a globe, he cannot ignore the fact that it's a map, not a mere ball. And thus he cannot validly name a line northeast in the way that he does. That is not how you read a map. Nor can he refuse any other map because of its distortion. Because all of the maps have one thing in common: latitude and longitude lines. That's what determines the directions. That's what represents the directions on the map. So, in the real world, standing up on the earth, we can talk about sun and north star and other things. On the globe, we're going to talk about latitude and longitude lines, not shape. This string itself is a greater distortion than anything else on the map. So, if the grid on the map is irrelevant, then based on what is he determining north and east on the globe when he pulls his string? If he names his line northeast because of a north pole at 90 degrees and an equator at 0 degrees, then he has to be consistent all the way through and accept the latitude and longitude coordinates between 0 and 90 degrees and face southeast. If he wants to ignore all latitude and longitude, then he has confessed that he is not seeking a direction on the map. And he has validated that of which we have accused him, not facing the direction. You're not even looking for the direction. Any question? Now, this is one of my favorite parts of the book. Might be my favorite part here. So the title is An Unchanging Direction and a Straight Line? The answer is no. So pay attention, please. This is a puddle. This is a puzzle and a riddle. Yani, solving a puzzle and a riddle. The author says, if it is clear that all cardinal directions are different, means what? North, east, south, and west, all of them are different from each other. We already clarified that. It is then clear that if a line designated AC were a perfectly straight, unchanging northeast direction, then line CA would be a perfectly straight, unchanging southwest direction. Okay, let's take this step by step here. So, first of all, here we are establishing some premises. We want to get to a conclusion. So, here are our premises. Let's say that there were a perfectly straight line. This perfectly straight line, it has a name. Its name is AC. This perfectly straight line has a name. AC. Line over top. That's how you write it out. That means this is a line with its name. Sister Nadia taught me that. Rahimahullah, rahmatan wasi'ah. May Allah grant her a share of the reward. Ameen. May Allah make it for her a reward that she doesn't expect. Ameen. So if AC were a perfectly straight, unchanging northeast direction, so perfectly straight line, northeast, it's called AC. Then follows rationally, I'm not going to say logically, I'm going to say rationally, it follows rationally that CA would then be what? A perfectly straight, unchanging southwest direction, since it is the polar opposite direction. So if AC is northeast, CA is southwest. That's clear, insha'Allah ta'ala. Ask if you want to ask. That is indisputable, and I think it's very easy to understand if you know what the words mean. Unless you argue for northeast Qibla, like Noor Keller, then that's disputable. So, if when we just established this premise, you said, yeah, if AC is northeast, CA is southwest, that is rational and indisputable. No. But what do you say if someone tells you, no, that's disputable? Now, you're going to doubt yourself? Some person's going to try to make you doubt. Here, say, no, no. Let's say you understood this argument, you tried to argue it to someone. He's going to say, no, no, that's disputable, bro. So he's going to try to gaslight you. So let us call this the case of the unchanging direction. Find lines AC and CA in Noah Keller's pictures below. You see AC, you see line AC, and You also see line CA. You see it at two different angles here. So if AC is northeast, CA should be southwest. Now up here, you only see A. This perspective here doesn't allow you to see C. C is on the other side. So number one only shows A. The numbers 2 and 3, they show line AC and line CA. I think that's clear. So important word here is if. If AC is northeast, then CA must be southwest. How many illusions can you detect? One illusion is that the circles seem three-dimensional while they are only pictures drawn on a flat surface. These are flat and not spherical globes. So that's an illusion, don't forget. We talked about optical illusions. I have talked to some people showing them pictures like this and saying to them, this is not a globe. And they said, yes, it is. I said, no, this is not a sphere. They said, yes, it is. He had to say, yes, it is. He had to, Yanni, for the sake of his own argument. Unless he's going to now abandon his whole point. Unless he's now going to demolish everything he built. He had to argue that the images that he was displaying on his screen were truly a sphere. Because just by me making the point that what he is displaying is truly a flat image, Yanni, that's possibly irrelevant. It's possibly irrelevant that this is flat image, but it's not completely irrelevant. It's relevant if you're afraid someone has a delusion and he thinks that is a sphere. He didn't pay attention. So you need to point out to him that you do realize that's really just a flat image. It's not really a sphere, right? And then when he said, no, it's a sphere, then you're going to know, it was very relevant for me to make this point because he has delusion here. And he's dead serious. Or I just made him understand something and he's so arrogant that he's going to stick to this as much as he can. And if he can gaslight me, he will. So that's an illusion. Those are not real spheres. That's one. Any other illusions? Another is, and most horrendous, is that line AC is north, and line CA is also north instead of south, despite being the exact opposite. Yeah, I'm not reading what's in the parentheses. Parentheses means you can take that out. So parentheses just there to mention something quickly for you. Meaning, look here. If you go from A to C, that's from A to C is north. Yani from A, from A, from A. That's going north. Not the whole thing is, but just going from A is going north. But going from C is also north. Going from C is also north if you know what you're looking at. So that means that there's a falsehood here. There's a fallacy here. Because it's not possible that this is perfectly straight line and it goes north in two directions, in opposite directions. Going from A towards C is north, and going from C towards A is north too. And that's perfectly straight line. That's impossible. So what it's going to do here is going to gaslight you. It's going to say, no, it's completely possible. And the problem is that you don't know how to read a map. And you apparently don't understand that the earth is not flat. This is what he's going to say to you. And embedded in that talk, hidden in that talk, is that north is up and south is down. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So another illusion, and the most horrendous, is that line AC is north and line CA is north instead of south, despite being the exact opposite. We will return to target this insult to the intelligence. We will return to target this insult to the intelligence, God willing. It offends me that somebody put that for the Muslims. I have two emotions here about this. One's being offended by the one who put that for the Muslims to be uh, misguided by it and get wrong impression by it, and the other is sadness for many Muslims who didn't know better and they took that blunder. Yet a third illusion is that a line that is not curved occurs over what represents a curved surface. Yani, this curved surface here is supposed to be. It's not really a curved surface because it's a flat image on a flat screen here. But supposed to be representing the curved surface. But if you don't know what you are looking at, you'll think this is just unbending line. This is why drawing an unbendable solid black line for northeast and a curved dotted line for southeast is rather underhanded. So say, look at this dotted line here. They're saying this is southeast. This is the one that's not a straight direction. This is not straight. And here's the thing. If you investigate the coordinates at every point, if each time it's still southeast, 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 if that's the case, then that means one direction. But this is not northeast, 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 northeast. This is really northeast, 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 east, 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 southeast, 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 southeast. And this dotted line here is really southeast, 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 southeast. And the person who Yani either doesn't know what he's saying or he's gaslighting you, he's going to tell you, look how bending that is. That's not the straight line. Southeast is not the right way because it's bending, it's turning. Another rather underhanded thing was how he depicted only the Western Hemisphere in a diagram with a northeast line that we will designate as AB. And he revisit this one here. The one that only had A the first time, we have a new line here, line AB. He said, how can we show it southeast by using a globe? Uh, Let me show you a picture. Now, this is only to give you an example. This is the cover of a book published many years ago. I don't know, maybe back in the 90s. It has some things in here we don't agree with. Like it has some takfir here, some pronouncement of kufr here. So we don't have, in this argument, we didn't introduce element of kufr, we just argued the issue of the qibla. But here, this just to give you an idea. Uh, you see this line looks like it's turning, but really the other line is turning too. That's first of all. The only reason it looks straight is because they just shifted the globe to just adjust your perspective only. So the the globe is curved to a line over. It's gonna be bending. So what you're gonna do if you want to show on a globe, you need to probably put the effort to track the latitude and longitude coordinates through the whole line to show how it's steadily southeast. The line the coordinates across the whole line, even if it is appearing bending to your eye, only because it's over a curved surface, but the actual coordinates will be proving that it's a steady direction. So that means you're gonna probably have to say to that person, don't get caught up off of the shape here. You need to understand the meaning and that it's not really turning. Rather, there's one direction. You understand the meaning of my answer to you? Amin Wafiq. So check out this line here. Now we revisited this number one. And we have a new line here. This line, its name is AB. This is half of the line AC. From this, they named their entire line Northeast. From this portion which is AB, they call the entire line all the way to C Northeast. The dishonesty being that they apply this name to the other half of the line on the Eastern Hemisphere side, the part of the line that changes direction, the change that they deny. However, if this line is truly an unchanging direction, then showing the Eastern Hemisphere side alone would be just as valid as showing the Western Hemisphere side alone unchanging direction from beginning to end. Then we could just show the other half of the line only without A. Why do you think they never show that side alone? Is it out of honesty and objectivity? Or is it because it reveals only a southeast line that's labeled here as BC? I had to go grab my own Eastern Hemisphere side because they didn't provide one. Because they never would show you just Eastern Hemisphere side. Because what can we call Northeast from this line here? There's nothing that we could call Northeast. So without the other half of the line that starts at A, there's no way to even call this Northeast. But it's supposed to be the same line that never changed, as seen. If only the Eastern Hemisphere side were shown, the line would be clearly Southeast only. Why is that? Is it because Mecca is southeast of the USA, but they want to face northeast anyway? Or what? If their entire line is truly an unchanging direction, then we should be able to take only this portion of the line. And it would not make a difference because there is no change in the direction, right? For some reason, we cannot find a single northeaster who will ever accept. Why don't accept? Is this refused only because they will be unable to call it northeast? Is that why they don't accept? Although the line didn't change according to them? Is it the name that matters? Is there some agenda or conspiracy behind calling this entire line from the beginning to the end northeast? Because you know something, brothers and sisters, some people, especially people who are not really stupid in reality, they don't do things like that by mistake. You have two types of people here. You have a type of person who does not know what he is looking at, and you have a type of person who knows exactly what he is looking at here. He knows, he sees what we see, he knows what we are saying. He realized that, but he's not going to say it. When someone is doing that, why would someone do that? Is there a conspiracy? Is there an agenda there? What could it ever be? Is that a way to keep some of the Muslims out of the masjids so that they don't spread the knowledge? If all the masjids had a wrong direction, or most of them, and there was a group of Muslims with correct knowledge, but because they don't face the wrong direction, that's an impediment for them to mix and then spread their knowledge. Would it be for someone who hates for that knowledge to be spread to their advantage to support the argument that it is Northeast? Perhaps it's just a conspiracy theory. Should we not be able to take any point of the unchanging direction? We should, is it right? This unchanging direction. It should be valid to start at B in the middle of the unchanging direction. And then to change the name of this unchanging direction to southeast should be valid, right? Yani, if the line became changed to, its name became changed to ABC, it's the same line. When it was AC, it was northeast. When it was AB, it was northeast and an unchanging direction. So this whole line was called at first AC, and it was, according to who put it, northeast. So if what if we take this unchanging line, according to you, who put it, and let's call it ABC. It's still the same line; it was never changing, and actually we can shorten the line's name from ABC to just BC, and it's still the same line that was never changing, according to you. And in fact, and we could change the name of it too and call it Southeast. Why not? If you think of a reason why you must start at A, then there must be a change before reaching C that you are trying to avoid. As if you know that according to the way maps are read, your line is an arc. Actually, and you are hiding it in plain sight from those who do not know better and deceiving the Muslims. والعياذ بالله تعالى. الله يحفظنا. الله يحفظ المسلمين. آمين. The flat map is actually better for demonstrating the true direction. That gets underlined. That's a technical word. That's not my word, true direction. That's real map word. For demonstrating the true direction, the flat map is better for demonstrating the true direction than a globe, because you cannot shift the flat map and make the curve go away. So, again, why cannot you look at the unchanging direction from the halfway mark, take only BC, BC, and forget about the point that starts at New York? They are merely hiding that change by positioning the globe as they wish, by showing the Western Hemisphere to convince you of the northeastern direction, and then by showing the northern view to claim that the line is unrelentingly straight. So here it is without the labels. The key to the riddle is that there are 3 points all having something in common: northeast, east, and southeast. The common denominator, as they say, is east. That alone is the one constant. That is the unchanging direction, just east, not northeast. Throughout the whole line, east is the only constant. But there is a north-south change, a north-south change. At some point there's north, at some point there's south, but the whole time going yani, in one direction, it's east. Going back in the other direction, it would be west, with the north-south change still there. Looking from a bird's eye view eliminates the visual of the north-south change. Yani, looking from a bird's eye view eliminates the visual of the arc, and it only preserves a straight line of east to the eye, just to the eye only. The north-south change is still there. Subhanallah. So what's that? That's like the person who goes to the kid and he says, "You want me to do a magic trick?" And then he acts like he pulls a coin out of his ear. Oh, look at that coin there. And then the kid's like, "Whoa, where'd you get that from?" Yanni, the coin was in his hand the whole time. The line was bending the whole time. He's just turning and saying, "No, look at it like this." So I think that's clear for you. I keep saying, they say, look at it like this. It's clear for you. This is very important. Should make your talk to them easier, inshallah. If one were to simply adjust the globe, the arc reappears. To turn from north to south while going east. It is this change that they unrightfully and stubbornly deny. In other terms, they call the entire line northeast because of how it starts. And they do not acknowledge the ending direction of southeast as a direction. They don't acknowledge it as a direction. And instead, they call it a bearing. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Yes, because the people who are the clever ones in such manipulations, they know that control of the language helps to control the narrative, as they say. So you're going to say, no, that's not what it is. Don't call it a direction, call it a bearing. Southeast? Oh, no, not. That's southeast. That's not a direction there. That is how they manufactured an unchanging direction. However, they get stuck with the northeast line whose opposite is northwest instead of southwest. And they could not care less about the contradiction. Then they call you ignorant for pointing it out. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك